Hello, Libra, and welcome into our reading for the first half of September. So today we're going to be taking a look at career and jobs, love and relationships, and then life path and mission. So before we jump into that, one of the new things we'll do is I got this new deck. It has different crystals, and we'll pull a crystal, and this will be one that Spirit is saying would be a good one for you to work with over the coming weeks. So with your meditation, maybe carrying it in your pocket. So let's take a look. Andara, Palladium. Adoration, wonder, inner fire. So that is your crystal for today. So a few things, and we'll start off before we dive into the reading where we're looking at those specific areas of life that we talked about. We'll just pull a few cards to see what the general energy is for you for the first half of the month, and then we'll dive into some of the specifics. So let's take a look and see what the general energy is for you. So we have Queen of Shells, which shells is cups, so that's Queen of Cups, Four of Cups in reverse, and Five of Crystals, which is Pentacles in reverse. So your Queen of Cups energy, that's kind of that kindness, compassion, caring. Your Four of Cups in reverse is going to be that there's some self-awareness and sadness about accepting what can't be changed, but then you also have this overcoming adversity and forgiveness and moving on. So some things can't be changed. And when it's saying moving on, it doesn't necessarily mean you're walking away from somebody or walking away from a relationship. It could be a matter of walking away from the idea that you had built up in your mind about how something should be. So right now, before we dive into this, I'll talk a little bit about some of the big things that are coming up. We do still have a lot of planets in retrograde. So some of the energy these days is about understanding that some things can't be changed. That was over here, but looking within and seeing what needs to happen to move me to like my highest timeline, to move me onto the path of happiness and being fulfilled, and like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing on this planet. So it's a lot of reflection. Something in terms of changes coming up. On the 14th, we have a new moon in Virgo, and so that's usually about new projects, new routines, things like that. But Mercury goes direct in Virgo the very next day. So the focus there is going to be on things that you can kind of quickly finish up, maybe things that have stalled out over the past few weeks or months, and it's just that push of energy of, all right, let's just get it done. Because with Mercury being in retrograde right now, that's affecting your communication, technology, travel, timing, and all of that. We also still have Venus, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Uranus in retrograde. So, and we do have Jupiter moving into retrograde on the 4th. So that's going to be about kind of the energy is going to slow down, maybe some fewer options, but that gives you an opportunity to grow because you're not as spread out, not as spread thin in terms of having your attention being drawn to different things. So the first path that we look at is jobs and career. So in the immediate past, there was kind of some confusion and you were lacking some focus, but that pushed you into this place of planning and curiosity and, wanting to do things differently. So because of the fact that you kind of had this chaos and lack of focus, it stirred up in you that thought of, okay, what do I really want to do? So the next thing that's coming in, the next level of energy is this Tower in reverse is kind of resisting change or delaying the inevitable. Like you have this fear of letting go of things. So you've been planning, but then you kind of get held up. So things were in chaos. So you were planning, okay, what's the next step? What's the better future for me? But then you get stuck because of some of that, fear, and change can be scary. So this is kind of where the holdup is, but something to consider. So we do have all these planets in retrograde. Saturn is in retrograde right now, and that's about how do you attain your goals and where should you be putting your energy. So So that seems to be kind of the energy that you have here in terms of planning. But you do need to take that step forward, um, take that leap and implement what you've been planning. Um, one of the planets, Uranus, is in retrograde, and that's kind of about breaking down barriers and breaking down the norms. So if some of this planning involves a relatively big shift, something that's kind of out of the ordinary, something that's very different for you, don't be afraid of making that change. With North Node having shifted into Aries in July, that was really about living your authentic self and being unapologetically you and standing in your truth. So even if that truth is outside of the norm of what you're used to or what your family or your friends would say is normal or acceptable, doesn't mean that you have to make yourself small to make them more comfortable. So, all right, let's take a look at what we have in store for love and relationships. Venus is in retrograde right now, but it goes direct on the 3rd. So this has kind of been like this make it or break it type of energy for some relationships over the last month or so that it's been in retrograde. And so there is also that sense of don't necessarily make any big changes right now. It's going to be going direct very soon. So if you're having certain thoughts about, I need to make a big change, work on journaling and then revisit it in a little bit. So, all right. So in your immediate past, you've had this 5 of Pentacles in reverse, and that's about like forgiveness and overcoming adversity and trying times and forgiveness. And it's putting you into this 7 of Wands in reverse energy, which is actually kind of about being like burned out and that sense of surrendering. And kind of then the next level that's coming through is freedom and taking control. So, you were overcoming, it was good that you were overcoming this adversity and forgiving, but it definitely left you depleted. But there is good energy coming in, this freedom, this perspective, taking control of your future. So it looks like that is coming in. Neptune is also still in retrograde, and that's about kind of confronting illusions. So if there were any illusions within your relationship, maybe you've been kind of uncovering those, and with this being about forgiveness, maybe something came up and you had to be forgiving about it. So that could be that overcoming illusions, but it does seem like things are moving in the right direction there. Ooh, had some cards fly out there. All right, and let's see about your life path mission. Let's see what's coming up here. So you have your 4 of Swords in reverse, the Star in reverse, and the Ace of Wands in reverse. So all of those reversals there. In the immediate past, you've kind of hit that stress, breakdown, exhaustion stage, which is leaving you in this energy of being like uninspired, kind of lack of faith that things are going to work out. You don't really trust the process, and you don't know what path your life is going on. Maybe you thought that everything was going in one direction, and then all of a sudden something happened, and it was just too much, and you got exhausted, and now you're kind of sitting here going, okay, well, that's not what I thought it was going to be. The next level of energy coming in is kind of like, some lost chances or promises that were broken, and kind of a lack of creativity. So it really seems like right now you're in that energy of, not really knowing what your life path is, what your purpose is, what your mission is. And then, from the overall reading, we had this 5 of Pentacles in reverse as well. So that is about overcoming adversity and moving on, so I think this is something where you can overcome this and move on. it's just a matter of figuring out how to direct some of that energy. So with Jupiter in going in retrograde on the 4th, that's about growth and expansion. So be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself, and give yourself some time to figure out what is that next step, what is that next level of energy coming in, and really work on grounding and meditating and trying to see what you can see about being able to find your path. Let's take a look at Gaia card, the search. So feeling lost and confused and lonely. And it's interesting because this has come up with some of the other zodiac reads as well. And I think even in some of the daily reads, there is this energy right now in the collective. It's just this really heavy, weird, funky energy. And even with this, that you're feeling lost and confused. And some of this with this many planets in retrograde, it's turning so much of that focus inwards. Like retrograde is that time to reflect and all of that. And at some point, sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh, this is too much heavy reflection. This is too much. And it leaves you feeling confused and like you've just kind of turned in circles. But the sun is shining above her. So there's hope. There's good news on the way. You will get past this energy. And I think, so Jupiter is in retrograde until the end of the year, December 31st. And so there's really going to be this expansion period for the rest of the year. So I think your search is going to continue. You may not find your answer right away, but if you're able to kind of spend that time to be mindful, connect with nature, really work on that reflection, I think the answers will be coming to you. So let's take a look here. And your moon card is nothing is yet set in stone. So if you are struggling with your path, it's not set in stone. So if you feel you're being drawn in one direction, go ahead and try moving in that direction and see where it takes you. See if it brings you that feeling of peace. See if it makes you come alive. And if not, try something else. Right now with Mercury in retrograde, that's a lot of heavy, weird energy. So that's going direct on the 15th. So at least it's not a very long retrograde period. But also Pluto is in retrograde until October 10th. And Pluto is the great destroyer. So that's like kind of challenging some of your toxic behaviors and what needs to go. What do you need to let go of to be able to move forward? And some of it could be on your life path, mission, that there's something that you have to let go of in order to move forward. And so with this card, lessons will repeat until you learn. And this one, if you've watched my daily videos, you'll know that a lot of times, like when I'm looking at messages, when the colors are all lining up, that is a stronger message of, that those messages go together, that they're related. So you're feeling lost and confused. And part of it is there's lessons that you need to learn. And if you're not learning them, if you're trying to skim through them, or if you're trying to sidestep the lessons, they're going to keep repeating and they're going to keep getting louder until you listen. So South Node has moved into Libra. So South Node is in your sign right now. And South Node is all about what is the baggage that you're bringing forward, either from earlier in this life or from previous incarnations. So what baggage do you need to let go of in order to move forward, in order to get to that, higher timeline, to that place of peace, to start closing out, soul contracts or karmic, like debt type of thing. And so that's that reminder. Those lessons will continue until you learn, whether that's in this life or, maybe you're able to bury your head enough in this life, but they will pop up in the next one if you're not willing to face it. So even if it's a tough time right now, the message definitely is there to face those challenges, face those lessons, and make sure that you're doing what you need to do to clear those up. So I hope you found this information to be helpful today. And as always, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. So I wish you peace and joy along your journey, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.